Hello everyone, it's Meg. Happy New Year, happy 2025. I hope you've all had a great start to the new year so far. And obviously, if you cannot tell by the title, today I'm going to talk about my favourite books that I read in 2024. I'm getting to kind of all these like new year kind of bookish videos a little bit late this year because I just needed to rest in December. So you gals catching up, so just bear with me. But obviously today I'm going to do probably one of my favourite videos that you kind of do around the new year, like I said, which is my favourite books of the year. And I have 9 books that I'm going to share with you guys. I don't quite have 10, unfortunately. I didn't have like the best year in terms of like obviously getting a top 10. However, I still read loads of amazing books, and I also read 68 books altogether this year, which is the most I've ever read. I think the most I'd read before that was 62, I think, which was during the start of COVID. So yeah, I'm really excited to share with you guys these books. They aren't really in any particular order. I have maybe like a top 4-ish kind of, but generally there's not much of a... I love all these books. So yeah, we're gonna just get straight into it. So the first book that I have on this list is Mariana by Monica Dickens. I got this copy from Persephone Books in Bath the other year, and I finally read it. And the description that they had kind of on the shelf when I was looking for a book to buy was it's like a hot water bottle of a book. And I can absolutely like testament to that. This book is like kind of a mix between like Anne of Green Gables and I Capture the Castle, those kind of like beautiful like historical coming of age stories, which are right up my street. I love both of those stories. It's been a while since I've read this, but from what I can remember, the story is about our main character called Mary, and it's basically we follow her from when she is a child up to in her 20s, and it's just following her and her life. It's about the people she interacts with and makes friends with, it's about her family, it's about her discovering who she is, what she wants, what she doesn't want or realises she doesn't want, the trials and tribulations of being an adolescent, and everything in between. And it's just a very beautiful book. It's quite a gentle book. The characters are very endearing. Mary has a lot of levels, and I love so much about this book. I just love the atmosphere. It's very cosy, very hot water bottle like the description suggests, and it's just a perfect book to kind of like cozy up with like on a rainy day and just envelop yourself in. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. So glad that I got to read it. So yeah, this is the first book on this list. Next up we have Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. This is the very exclusive edition, but I did read the copy that I got when I went to Bath again the other year. And I love Howl's Moving Castle, the film. I love Studio Ghibli, and obviously it's nice to read the original material. And I didn't know what to expect going into this. I knew that there would definitely be some differences, and I really did enjoy this. There are quite a lot of differences to the film compared to the book. Definitely some big plot twists, or well, not big plot twists, but you know, big plot changes. I kind of prefer Howl in this book. He's a bit more sassy, he's a bit more of a drama queen. I mean, he's a bit of a drama queen in the film, but he is definitely a drama queen in this book in particular. I love Sophie, of course. She's very similar kind of in the film to in the book as well. There's a lot more banter between Sophie and Howl in the book as well, which I really liked. I don't know whether I would ever say I like the film or the book better. I think personally, I like them both separately. I view them as separate things just because, like I said, there are some big differences in the storylines in the book and the film. So I, like I said, view them as different things, and I enjoyed them equally. And maybe I will reread this in the future, who knows, but I did really enjoy it, and it was so fun to read the original material of one of my favourite Studio Ghibli films. Next up we have Spectacular by Stephanie Garber. This is the last book, or the most recent book, should I say, that I have read kind of on this list. I read it for Christmas, I read it during Vlogmas, so you can go and find my Vlogmas vlog if you want to kind of see my reactions to it. But I read the Caraval series years ago when it first came out, and I'm not a fantasy girly, as it is quite obvious on this channel. However, I really enjoyed the Caraval trilogy. It was really fun, really enjoyed it, loved the characters, and this is a Christmas novella. And I haven't been in this world for ages, but it was so nice to be back. I really enjoyed the story. It was just so fun. Like, it was just like a fun, quick, easy Christmas read. It was, yeah, I just love being back in this world with these characters, and Tella is like the main protagonist of this novella, and it mainly concentrates on her and Legend. And yeah, I just loved it so much. I will definitely be rereading it again at some point in a future Christmas. But yeah, I really love this. So, and I definitely recommend, if you're a Caraval fan and you've not picked this up yet, 100% recommend. I think you will absolutely adore it. Next up, we have a series, which is the reason why I have such a high count of read books on my Goodreads this year, and that is Kimi ni Todoke. 2024 was the year that I discovered manga and anime. Netflix brought out a third season of Kimi ni Todoke, and obviously released it the first and second series of this story as well. And obviously I binge watched all 3 seasons in like a week, and then I had to get my hands on the manga, and there's like 30 manga volumes, so that's literally like half of the books that I've read this year. So not sorry though, because I love this book. It's just a really like stunning, like coming of age, like slice of life series. Obviously there's romance in there, but there's also some really beautiful friendships and talks about like the future and all that sort of, you know, coming of age things. But I really love it. I love how it's done. I love the art style. I actually recently rewatched the series so far, and I really hope that it gets renewed for another season. But this has definitely started my love for anime and manga, and I do have a reading vlog where I read the series, so I'll try and remember to leave it in the description if you guys want to go and check that out, hear my like full thoughts like throughout reading the entire series. But yeah, I adored this. I will definitely be rereading it at some point in the future, and yeah, it brought me so much happiness at a time when I really needed it, so I'm really glad that this was the first manga that I read. Next we have The Charm Offensive by Alison Cotran, and this is a book I have wanted to read for the longest time. I think since it came out, and then especially when I found out that there is a sexual rep in here, I was like, I have to read that. And like I said, heard nothing but good things about it, and I was very lucky to get this for my birthday last year, and I flew through this book. It was so good. I have read Alison's other book, Kiss Her Once for Me. I read that for Christmas the year before, really loved that as well. Also has ace rep in it, and this was just so heartwarming. I love the premise of it. I didn't think I would, but I do love the premise. I love our main characters as well, Charlie and Dev. I love their like chemistry together and the conversations that they have. This also deals with a lot of mental health issues, specifically anxiety and panic attacks, so obviously be aware of that if you want to get into this book. But I really appreciate that and how accurate it was, and yeah, there was just so many like discussions that I appreciated. There's also talks of depression as well, which I feel like was also very accurate and well done. Like I said, there's like ace demisexual rep, obviously gay rep, and there's probably more representation that I'm not thinking of right now, but I really enjoyed this. It's a very sweet romance, really stunning story, and I know this has been out for a few years now, but I still can't recommend it enough. I love it so much, and I'm so glad that I finally got to it this year. Now I've got my last 4 books, and these are kind of technically my top 4 of the year, I would say. Like I said, I loved all of them, the books that I read this year, but these might potentially be my favourites of the year. We'll see, it might change, but for the time being, the next book that I have is All the Young Men, How One Woman Risked It to Care for the Dying by Ruth Coker Burks and Kevin Carr O'Leary. I've had this book on my shelf for a couple of years now. I got it as a present from Kira from my birthday, I believe, a few years ago, and I only read it last year. However, it was absolutely stunning. I'm not really a massive non-fiction person. It is something I want to try and get more into, and as soon as I heard about this book I knew I had to pick it up and read it, and literally this book did not disappoint. It was absolutely stunning. So this is basically a real life story, obviously because it's a memoir, about Ruth Kokebergs, who was a single mother living in southern America, like the South, during the 80s, and she lives in a very conservative, very religious town, and she ends up becoming an activist during the AIDS crisis, helping hundreds and thousands of men who helping them get diagnosed, getting food for them, finding accommodation for them, just lending them like a hand and some friendship and some company. And it's so beautiful, this book. This woman is incredible. Like, I feel like more people need to rave about this book. I haven't heard many people talk about it, but it's so stunning. She really goes to extreme lengths, and I love how she was just not afraid, like regardless of like all the prejudice and discrimination and all the horrible things that had happened to her, because she was just trying to help these men. It was just so stunning. I cannot recommend this book enough. Like, this might be the book I recommend the most out of everything on this list. I just love this so much. She's so incredible, and obviously, as well as like being an AIDS activist and helping all these patients, she also is a single mother, and she's dealing with that. And obviously, it's something that was frowned upon, kind of back then still. And other aspects of her life, like relationships and all that sort of thing. And yeah, I just love this book. It's a masterpiece. Please go and read this book. I will never stop talking about this book. It was absolutely phenomenal, and I feel like this woman deserves like a huge award. Ruth is just an incredible person, and I'm so glad that I got to read and experience her story through this book. Next up, we have A Lady's Guide to Scandal by Sophie Irwin. And I actually listened to this via audiobook, and it took me several months to read the audiobook or listen to it even. And that's not because I wasn't enjoying it. I'm just generally quite terrible at listening to audiobooks. However, I absolutely love this book so much. This is set, I think, in the same era as her previous book, which is A Lady's Guide to Scandal. But this is an historical fiction, and it's about our main character Eliza, and she's recently been widowed at the age of 27. And basically she is allowed to have her fortune and everything that comes with it, as long as she doesn't cause a scandal. And she's quite a timid, like very broken down kind of person. Like, her marriage wasn't very good. It was to somebody who was quite a lot older than her, and he didn't treat her very nicely. And basically she ends up going to Bath with her cousin, and they meet all sorts of characters. And I would just like to say that this book had a plot twist I was not expecting. I found Eliza quite annoying at the beginning of this book. She was quite shrewd and quite timid and just kind of had no self-esteem whatsoever. However, by the end of it, she's such a different person. There's so much growth for her in this book. I love that for her, and it's just wonderful seeing her kind of take back and be in charge of her own life again and her own destiny and what she wants in life. It's just so beautiful. And like I said, there is like a plot twist that I wasn't expecting, and I was not mad about it. I think it made the story so much more interesting. And again, there's some LGBTQ plus representation in here, which is also fun. But yeah, I love this book. It is like a low-key like feminist version for like this Victorian, I think it is Victorian times. But yeah, I love this so much, and the audiobook was amazing. The narrator was great, so I definitely recommend the audiobook for this if you ever decide to pick it up. But yeah, this is probably, along with the next book that I'm going to talk about, probably my favourite historical fiction of this year. So last two books, and again, second historical fiction book on this list, and also one of my favourites of the year, which is A A Season for Scandal by Laura Wood. It should be no surprise that I have a Laura Wood book on this list, and I in fact have two. The other one is after this one. This is the second book in like the Avery series. I don't know if it's actually called that, but it's part of it's like the same thing, so I'm going to call it the Avery series for now. I really love the first book in this like companion series, however this book I loved even more, which I didn't know was possible. This book is basically about like a secret like society that these women run, and it's basically them like blackmailing and taking back control from horrible men, which is absolutely stunning. And this book specifically is about our main character Marigold, who has a flower shop with her family, and they are in a little bit of financial trouble with their people who own the shop. And somehow through this she ends up getting to know the Avery, and she becomes part of their like crew, their group, and there's a mystery that she is helping to solve. That's not a very good description, but I won't say any more than that. I love how the language of flowers is used in this book as well. I've read a couple of books that had the language of flowers in, and I think it is stunning. There's something about like flowers and like, you know, like plant shops and all that sort of thing. I just love it in this book. And it's interesting seeing it in like a Victorian setting as well. I also love our main character Marigold as well. I love the love interest and kind of like, you know, the romance in there. That's really cute. And I love seeing like all the characters from the first book as well back in there, and especially the ones who were like the main characters of the first book as well. It was just such a fun time. Like, I was swooning. I just devoured this book. I have lots of tabs, so you know I enjoyed it. And yeah, obviously obsessed, loved it. And there's a third book in this like little series that is coming out in February, so I have already pre-ordered it, and I will definitely be doing a vlog for that. And I did do a vlog for this as well. If you want, check it out as well. Again, I will leave any videos that I mention in the comments down below. And the last book that I have on this list is Under Your Spell by Laura Wood. This is Laura's adult debut novel, and it is a rom-com, and it is everything you could want and more. This is about our main character Clemmy, and she ends up in a situation where she is losing her job. She's been dumped by her boyfriend, and she is about to have nowhere to live. So her and her sisters decide to cast a spell that they used to do when they were a child to kind of, you know, manifest her some good things into her life. And then at a funeral, Clemmy ends up having a one-night stand with somebody who attends, and she doesn't know who he is until a couple of weeks later, when she is invited to a party by her sister, and she finds out that the guy that she had the one-night stand with is one of the most famous rock stars in the world. And basically she ends up getting a job where she looks after that character called Theo, and she has to look after Theo whilst he writes his next album, whilst staying in a house in Northumberland that Clemmy and her sisters used to grow up in that belonged to their grandma. I won't say any more than that, but yeah, this was just so fun, this book. Laura's writing transcends so well into contemporary fiction, because obviously she writes mainly historical fiction. This is, from what I know at any rate, it is her first like contemporary fiction. It transcends so well, her writing, into this era. It's so witty as well, and obviously it talks about some slightly more mature topics and all that sort of thing. And also, did I mention that Clemmy's dad is also a famous rock star from the 80s as well, who is not the sharpest tool in the box, let's put it that way. I loved everything about this book. It was funny, I love the writing, I love the characters, I love Clemmy and Theo. I love the growth in this book as well. Laura's so great at like developing her characters throughout the novel. It's just stunning. And yeah, I just love this like book so much. Like, if you are a romance fan, honestly highly recommend picking this book up. I really don't think you'd be disappointed. And also, Laura has a second adult romance coming out this year, which is called Make a Scene, I believe, which follows one of the side characters in this book. It's one of Theo's friends. It follows like her and a romance in that one, so that sounds fun. Again, really excited to read that later in the year. But yeah, absolutely stunning. Cannot recommend this book enough. And again, I do have a vlog where I read this book. But yeah, I absolutely loved it and cannot wait for her next adult novel, like I said, later this year. So those are all of my favourite books that I read in 2024. I really hope you guys enjoy this video. It's always fun talking about my favourite books that I read throughout the year, and I am so excited to see all the amazing books that I am hopefully going to read in 2025. Let me know in the comments down below your favourite book that you read in 2025. Are there any on the list that I've read, or any others that I've not heard of before? Let's talk about our favourite books, because that is legit one of my favourite things to do. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you have not already. I will leave the links to my social media along with my Goodreads in the description down below for you guys if you would like to see more bookish content that you will not find on this channel. But thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you so much, and hopefully I will see you again very soon. Bye guys!